Good evening, Viking fans. Welcome to our weekly excursion into Viking paradise. I am your tour guide, Larry Godwin. Hey, Billy Pearson, how'd you like that introduction? That was kind of cool, wasn't it? Your tour guide into Viking Nation, all things Viking. Guys, we have a great show for you tonight. This is episode number 33 of Around the Nation. And I want to thank our sponsors because without them, this wouldn't be possible. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you to everyone that participates in the Viking Nation. I want to thank Winn-Dixie of Valdosta. Obviously, you are well-conditioned by now that if you would like to enter for your chance to win the drawing at the end of the show for your Winn-Dixie Stuff the Bucket meal, go ahead and enter into the comments, #1Lowndes. And I'm going to, because people ask me this every single week, how do you do this? So here it is, right there on the screen. Type in #1Lowndes, no spaces, all one word, into the comments to enter for your chance to win the Winn-Dixie drawing at the end of the show. I also want to thank A Shade of Perfection. Tim Neesmith does a fantastic job with custom shades and blinds. Our newest sponsor, the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, Josh Batson, has been doing this for years, helping people with migraines and headaches of all types find relief. Because I've never had a migraine, but I know a lot of people that have. And once you have it, you'll never, ever forget it. And it's a debilitating thing. So Josh Batson, Justin Haskin there at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta can help you out to help you find that relief from your symptoms. We also want to thank G Nation Media. You'll hear more and more about that company as we go along. Hopefully by this time next week, we will introduce 2 new sponsors. I can't give it away yet because the deal is not done yet. But hopefully by this time next week, we'll reveal two new sponsors to the show. If you're a business and you want to sponsor the show, or our Facebook content, because during football season, Billy, let me go ahead and bring Billy onto the screen. Billy, during football season, we have about 60 to 80 to 90,000 viewers a week of our Viking Nation content. So we're looking for sponsors. So that kind of money helps to buy new equipment and put on productions like this for our fans of the Viking Nation. So, Billy Pearson, how you doing, man? I'm glad to see you with us.
I'm glad to be here. I really am.
Yeah, because you've had a rough go of it, man.
Yeah, allergy, asthma, a little hospital stay for about a week, but I'm back. I'm a little weak still, but I feel a lot better. I can actually take a deep breath without passing out. So we're good.
Yeah, you sound great, man. You sound great. Welcome back. We missed you.
I missed y'all too.
All right. So listen, I want to play a little video to get everybody jacked up and excited because you know what happens in 9 days? Just announced earlier this week and a few days ago, in 9 days from today,
the Eagle is going to land.
The Eagle is going to land in the form of Eagles Landing Christian Academy. They're coming into Martin Stadium. They're flying down I-75 into Martin Stadium to give us hopefully a pretty good game. August 7th is the preseason scrimmage at a different time. So we had to move the date and the time to August 7th at 5 p.m. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be well worth it because it's going to be our first look at the fall Vikings, our boys of fall this year, right? So hopefully we won't, by next weekend, we won't have the sweltering heat that we're going to have this weekend, right? So anyway, so Billy, let me go ahead and play this video. Check this out. Man, I cannot wait to hear those 400 plus kids crank up the tubas and lead us all off into the Viking chomp. I'm all so excited, man. I'm ready.
Hey, I actually snuck out of the office a little early this afternoon and went to the high school, and they kind of did a little kind of impromptu little show for the parents of band kids. And of course, my daughter's in the band, so I snuck out there to kind of see her because I haven't been able to get out and practice yet this year. And they're sounding good. They got a good show planned. If you grew up in your time period, Larry, you should love the show and know all the songs. I would bet money that Larry will be singing some of these songs on the sidelines. Yeah? Yes. It was hot. I feel for those kids. They work so hard. Lainey comes in, she's sunburnt, she's tired, she's exhausted. All these kids, I say this ain't the same heat I grew up in because it's brutal.
It is.
I was sweating just walking from the parking lot into the building. So it's rough, and they put a lot of work into it. And man, I got excited. Hearing those tubas again is just gets it to me.
Heck yeah, man. I'm ready to go. So that was a, let me put in the screen. That obviously Georgia Bridgemen, that was filmed earlier today because they're celebrating the end of band camp, right? So they were given a few minutes to let loose and let their hair down. They've been sweating and working hard for the last couple of weeks, right? A little over 2 weeks, and trying to get this show on the road. So our fans, just like me and you, can go out there and enjoy our Friday night along with our football team. So kudos to these kids that have put in the work. And I was glad to see them kind of let their hair down a little bit this afternoon. And that's one of the things they did right there was that Viking chomp. So glad to see it, man. Glad to see it. Speaking of the scrimmage, so we got a scrimmage coming down. ELCA, they're known as Eagles Landing Christian Academy. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be a decent team. They're going to be a smaller team. But this is one of those private schools in the metro Atlanta area they're going to have some athletes. And I don't really care what team that we're scrimmaging this fall. We were lucky to get a scrimmage.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, we're going to play ourselves.
We had an intra-squad scrimmage scheduled, right? And I was just glad at the last minute we can find, and it was really all the pieces fell into place. ELCA had a scrimmage scheduled, and that fell through. They were looking for a game. We were looking for a scrimmage, and everything worked out. So I'm glad they did. So I don't know what to expect from them. I don't know what to expect from us because we've got a lot of young kids that are going to be starting for the first time. So we'll see what we got. We'll see what we got.
A lot of people don't realize the scrimmage isn't about scoring touchdowns.
That's right.
As much as it's about learning substitutions, getting plays in, making the transitions between plays as much as it is actually just walking through. You're not trying to run up a score. You're not trying to work out, game plans or strategies. More or less, you're just trying to get everybody the feel of the game pace, the transition from down to down, know what packages you have in at certain times, and teaching the kids how to make those transitions. So that's what scrimmage is about. I mean, as a fan, we like to go and we like to see the competition of it, but it's more about, to me, it is anyway, more about just getting the feel of the game and getting you kind of feet under you.
That's exactly right.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you play a Buford or a Grayson or whoever in a scrimmage game. It's still you're not worried about the win or loss. You're more worried about making the transition, getting the right packages in,
right,
and seeing how we do in certain packages.
That's exactly right. So just moving along, we got some news to share with some folks, and I'm sure that most of Viking Nation has already heard it. But I wanted to bring our fan base up to date, and I checked with this player's parent just to make sure it was okay for me to talk about this on air, and she said it was fine. So one of our starters, Tyler Belcher, suffered an injury a little over a week ago. I'm not going to get into the details, things like that. So he's going to be out for a while. We're not sure how long yet. He had to have surgery, I believe, this morning, and this was according to his mom, Valerie's post on Facebook. I believe earlier today, she said, here's an update. Tyler's out of surgery and doing good. Good news. It wasn't as bad as we thought. Thank God for that. End quote. So I want to pray for the Tyler Belcher and his family because, Billy, I hate to see injury, any kind of injury to a student athlete, but especially a senior going to his last year as a Viking, putting on that crimson and white. I hope it's a speedy recovery. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a little time early on the season that it's not going to be as pressing that he's in there. So,
Right.
so just get better, Tyler. We'll wait on you, buddy. Just get better. We want you at your best. So just take your time, do what you're supposed to, and come back to us. But certainly hate to see it. He's a good kid. He's a great athlete. Golly,
Right.
he's a great athlete. But we'll miss him. But we'll just wait on him.
That's exactly right. So take your time. These types of injuries, it's going to take some time to heal. So in the meantime, his backup, next man up, we're still expecting big things. This is still the Lowndes Vikings football team. We're still have some really high expectations. So whoever's going to fill his shoes, they've got some big shoes to fill. So let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
So anyway, we've got the Corky Kell Classic coming up August 21st at 2:45. So a little bit of news on that front, guys. We still need the Viking Nation to show up in droves online to purchase these tickets. Right. I don't know exactly how many we sold, but it's well short of the 3,000 required. So if you haven't,
and you cannot buy them at the gate.
That's what we've been told.
No, you cannot buy them at the gate.
So if you leave Lowndes County and haven't bought your ticket online, make sure you bring your smartphone with you so you can purchase them on the way. Right. So speaking of that, there is just some information just came to us later this afternoon. There is a fan bus, a Viking fan bus. There's going to be 2 fan buses that's heading up to the Corky Kell Classic. And that is being put on or organized by Michael Lane. It's not affiliated. It's an official fan bus that's being sponsored by Lowndes County Schools or Lowndes High School. So I want to make sure fans know that. But we're more than happy to promote this fan bus that is being organized by Michael Lane. Guys, if you want more details or complete details about the cost or what time the bus is loading and leaving Valdosta, make sure you go and look up that post that I made earlier today on the Viking Nation. It has those complete details. And if you need more questions or if you need more answers to your questions, Michael Lane's number is on there as well. So let's fill up those fan buses. He's organized 2 of them to get on up there and support our Vikings in the Corky Kell.
Yeah, that's nice. If you don't want to drive to Atlanta, you don't want to have to worry about parking. That's definitely the way to go. I mean, that's close as a limousine as you can get, It's just a ride up there, ride back, just take it easy, let somebody else worry about the traffic and parking and hassle, and you just go and watch the game. So it's a pretty neat deal. I appreciate what Michael's doing, and I actually shared that Viking Nation post on my page as well. So either way, you can go to Viking Nation or my page, and you'll see the link to Michael's fan bus.
That's right. So before we introduce our guest interview for the evening, I want to make sure the folks that are just joining us, guys, if you want to enter for your chance to win the Winn-Dixie Stuff the Bucket meal at the end of the show, make sure you go ahead and into the comments, enter in or type in #OneLowndes, all one word, no spaces in between, #OneLowndes into the comments, and that'll get you into the drawing that we'll do at the end of the show. So with that said, I want to introduce to you guys the First Lady of Lowndes football. You probably recognize her. You may already know her. She did a fantastic interview. A lady named Tracey DuBose, wife of head coach Jamie DuBose. So I called her about a month ago just to gauge her interest to see if she would like to appear on the show and just let the fans get to know her. Because Billy, honestly, when Jamie and Tracey came last year, they came in with a lot of fanfare, and then COVID hit, and really our fans really didn't get to know the DuBoses, right?
And hey, I don't know Tracey personally. I know her through social media,
Yeah,
and we've had a little bit of banter back and forth between the two of us over social media. But she really seems not just like a coach's wife. She's a football fan. She is a
absolutely.
Lowndes fan. She
Yes.
she she's the type of lady that seems like, and I'm just speculating, just off of, like I said, I don't know her personally, but just a little banter we've had back and forth on social media. But she seems like she would be the type of fan that would watch whether or not Jamie was the head coach or not. Maybe not necessarily here, but she's got two sons that play football,
Right.
football stars, as a matter of fact. So she's a football fan. So she seems to be a great lady, and I enjoy watching her on the sideline. I enjoy watching, seeing some of her comments that she's made about the team, and she gets excited about it. So
She does.
she's
She's a
serious
huge
about it.
one. I didn't know her very well either. And I got to know her a little bit as part of this interview process. One is she's passionate about football.
Oh yeah,
Two
definitely.
is she's Jamie DuBose's #1 fan. That comes through very, very clear. And three is, man, she is a huge fan and she really gets into the game and she's an asset to this community. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and start this interview. Now, this is not going to, guys, this is not a live interview because of the scheduling conflict, things like that. It's very difficult to do it live. So I went ahead and pre-recorded this video, but you'll get the gist of it. It's all Tracey DuBose. This is a fantastic interview. So stick around and check out this interview. So Billy and I will take a back seat and hope you guys enjoy this interview. Hey, Viking Nation, thank you so much for joining us for this special interview. And if you notice on the screen, we've got someone that looks a little bit different. She's not a coach. She's not an administrator or anything like that. I guess you can classify Tracey DuBose as a super fan, but she's not any super fan. She's the super fan of the head man himself, Jamie DuBose. But so we're in for a treat tonight as we take the next few minutes to learn a little bit more about Tracey DuBose and the DuBose family and why she loves this game so much, and why she loves the Lowndes Vikings so much. So, Tracey, welcome so much. Welcome to the Viking Nation.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, let me ask you something. When you and Jamie first got the job, and I said it that way on purpose, right? When you and Jamie first got the job, you probably heard about the reputation of Wintersville, Titletown. That's what we like to call ourselves around here. But you guys were in Alabama, Phoenix City. So you heard about the reputation. So you moved down here, and you probably have discovered football never sleeps here. It's year round. We got so many rivals and all over South Georgia. Is it everything you expected? Well, first of all, let me ask you, what did you expect moving here?
I expected a football rabid town when we moved here, just from the reputation and hearing about y'all. And, I know all the years that we were in Phoenix City, Jamie tried to get a game together with Lowndes, and we just never could get it together. So I was well rehearsed on Lowndes and their fans and the support that they have. So my expectations coming in were pretty much to have a rabid, fan base that was all the time.
That's right. And I don't think we've failed you in your expectations, right?
No, you haven't. Not at all. Not at all. I'm used to a rabid fan base, but not 365 days of the year.
That's exactly right. I like to say all the time at Lowndes, football never sleeps. And it's literally, we wake up first thing in the morning. When I wake up first thing in the morning, my phone is usually already ringing, or I get a text message. Hey, have you heard this, heard that? So you're exactly right. It never stops around here. But let's back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your family, because what I'd like to do is maybe have our Viking Nation, our fan base, get to know a little bit more about the DuBoses and Tracey DuBose, because all we know is, what we've learned about in the newspapers, about reading about your family, things like that. You grew up, I think, in Alabama as a big time sports fan, specifically a football fan. Where did that come from?
Okay. When I was growing up, I actually grew up in Houston, Texas until I was in 7th grade. And my dad played at Mississippi State. He had a baseball scholarship to Mississippi State and played there. And so he was always a huge sports fan. I was the only child for a long time. My brother's 13 years younger than me. So I grew up just an only child. And my dad taught school. My mom worked as a chemical engineer. So she worked all day. So my dad would pick me up after school, and he worked a part-time job with the Houston Astrodome. I really don't know what he did, but I know he did a lot of things because we always went to the Rockets games, to the Astros games, and to the Oiler games. At the time, it was Houston Oilers. And, I'd walk hand in hand with Earl Campbell, whatever, on the field. And my dad took me to every game there was. I guess he had free tickets. I don't know. I just remember we always went to the games. And I remember telling him vividly, like I was 5 years old, I said, this is stupid. They just keep running into each other in the middle of the field. And so I guess my dad sat down and he explained everything to me. And from then on, I got it, and I started watching the game and understanding it. My dad was very passionate Mississippi State fan and Houston Oilers fan.
I got you. But that is a great story. It really is. So you grew up as a Houston Oilers fan. Does that mean that you're now a Tennessee Titans fan?
I did become a Tennessee Titans fan for a long time, and then I think it was at the Super Bowl that they played the Houston Texans in, or it was a playoff game anyway. Right. And I know my dad called me and said, I'm so confused right now on who to pull for. But I actually did become a Tennessee Titans fan because Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee after we moved to Alabama.
I got you.
But then we moved to Alabama, and my dad, like I said, was Mississippi State through and through, and Mississippi State hates Alabama. Mm-hmm. With a passion. He grew up with his dad, was a huge Mississippi State fan, and he listened to all the games, and he was passionate hater of Alabama. I don't hate Alabama. He does. He would prefer Alabama lose, even if Auburn loses or even if Mississippi State loses. As long as Alabama lost, he's fine. But I say that because when we moved to Alabama, we were moving here. He was going to become a professor at Auburn. And he said, we're going to move to Alabama. And he said, when you get there, they're going to ask you if you're an Auburn or an Alabama fan. He said, I don't care. You don't have to be an Auburn fan just because I'm working there, but you will not be an Alabama fan in my house. So I didn't really have a choice. I was like, yes, sir. I'm an Auburn fan.
That's funny right there. So growing up in Alabama, you grow into an Auburn fan. That explains it, because I see your Twitter posts and Facebook posts, and during football season, it appears like you are a rabid Auburn fan.
I am. I used to be a lot more than I am now.
Okay.
I was Auburn through and through. I cheered at Auburn. I graduated from Auburn. I was cheerleader at Auburn, and rabid Auburn fan through all their national championship year. And after that, the more that the kids that my husband coached got into college, they would go to different teams and things like that. And one of my favorite players played for Florida State when they played Auburn in the national championship game. So, since then, and I've had two boys that have grew up, and they played for Southern Miss and Army. So through the years, it hasn't been as rabid as it used to be, but I'm still a huge Auburn fan.
Sure. Well, listen, that explains why you wear orange and blue all the time.
I do.
Right. No, as a side note, does it hurt your heart a little bit to wear crimson and white down here, since that's Lowndes colors?
Well, when we were at Prattville, their colors were cardinal and white.
Oh, okay.
And my dad was, I always said, no, it's cardinal. I'd always correct people when they'd say it's crimson and white. I said, no, it's cardinal. And so when my dad heard we were moving here, he called me and he said, did I see that their colors are actually crimson and white? And I said, yes, sir, you did.
That's funny right there.
I'm going to be wearing crimson and white.
That's right. Different logo. That's okay. Yes. So now we fast forward a little bit. You and Jamie are married. You're full-fledged coach's wife. So you go from Prattville to Phoenix City to Lowndes. I guess that comes with the territory, moving from school to school, because every school that Jamie has moved to, he's done very well. Seems to be going to another program to rebuild it or to take it to the next level. How do you cope with that, or how do you handle moving from different towns like that?
Well, first of all, we don't take a job until we've prayed about it and really feel like we need to be in that town. So I feel like it's a calling. I feel like that's where God is putting us at the time. So that makes it a little bit easier to, to move down there, because I know we're going for a purpose of some sort. And in the move to Lowndes, I know that was going to be hard, because I was going to give up 2 years I had 2 years to retire in the state of Alabama. So that was going to be hard. And we prayed and prayed and prayed about it. And we went to the Under Armour game, and I promise you, every sign, it was like we were getting slapped in the face. You need to go to Lowndes. So, that makes it a little bit easier. That doesn't make it easier to sell a house and pack up and things like that. But that makes it easier to know that you're going for a purpose. I am glad that we did not leave Prattville until my kids got through with Prattville. Jamie coached both of them, and they both graduated from Prattville, and his 2 boys are going to graduate from Prattville too. So Prattville always has part of our heart too.
I got you. Well, we're thrilled that you're here. I'm glad you saw the different signs leading you to Lowndes, and we're definitely thrilled that both of you are here. When you got here, there was a lot of fanfare. You guys are introduced to the Lowndes fan base. We get to know you a little bit, or at least a kind of a glimpse into the DuBoses and the direction of the program, things like that. And then COVID hit. And so how difficult was that, moving from Phoenix City to Lowndes, trying to settle into a new community, and then all of a sudden you're on lockdown? How did you handle that?
Well, the moving part, that made it easier, to be honest with you, because I was going to have to work at Central until the end of the year, and then pack up. And we had sold our house, so we were trying to figure out where I was going to live from March until May, and so that actually made it easier, because I could work from Lowndes and at school. That part was easier. Now, the hard part was my husband he barely knew the players. I didn't know any of the players. I didn't know really the coaches. And I'm used to getting in there and meeting the players and being a part of everything. And we couldn't even see the players for the longest time. And he had to, do Zoom meetings and things like that. And I could see that it was bothering him. So that part was very difficult for me and him and the football team and everybody, in between. Not knowing what the next step was going to be was hard. I mean, you're coming in here and you can't even put your plays in, your, style of coaching in, anything like that. That was very difficult. I got you. Kind of had to go with it.
Yeah. And so you both get down here, and you turn into a real integral part of the program, because your title, you work for the Lowndes County School Systems. Your title is, let me get this right, graduation coach for Lowndes.
Correct.
What does that mean? What do you do for the program?
Well, for the program, I'm also the NCAA coordinator. I make sure that all the players are taking NCAA eligible courses, make sure that they are on track to graduate and be eligible with the NCAA, because if they do get a Division I or Division II scholarship, they have to have taken certain classes, and they have to have taken them by certain dates, or time period in their high school career, in order to be eligible to go to a Division I school. So I make sure that they are registered with the NCAA, and I keep up with what classes that they're taking, because some math classes the NCAA won't take as a math class, and they have to have so many math classes, so many English classes, and things like that. So I make sure I keep up with that. And I also, just for all the Lowndes County students, I make sure that they are on track to graduate and that they're making the grades. I check their grades constantly. And I also, if they're not doing too good in the class, I call them in and try to get it better. If not, we have to, revamp and look and see what they can take next in order to be able to still stay on track and graduate on time. I gotcha.
That sounds like a full-time endeavor right there. It really does.
With 3,000 students, it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we skip ahead a little bit. And so now you're well ingrained into the Lowndes system. The season finally starts last year. And I think this is my first time meeting you on the sidelines, because you know that I do the photography for the football program. And so I didn't know you at first. And I the first couple of games, home games, I'm thinking, who is this lady? She is so animated on the sidelines. And it's like, who is she? Is she a visitor? Then I find out this is Tracey DuBose, the wife of the head coach, and it makes sense why you'd be so into the game. Have you always been that way with Jamie's games, and where does that come from?
Yes, I've always been that way. I get invested in the players. I get invested in the team. I get invested, and I'm a very passionate person with everything that I do. If I'm, go all the way, go hard or go home.
That's right. That's right.
I've always liked sports. I grew up pretty much a tomboy. When I moved to Alabama, there wasn't a single female in my neighborhood. So, I just played ball with everybody, and I've always been a tomboy. I've always liked to do those kind of things. I've always been sports fanatic, and, it being my husband, and also my kids played for him too. And so I always pulled for my kids. My kids grew up playing sports. And so I've just always been very passionate about sports.
I got you. Well, speaking of sports and I'm going to ask you a question about away from football for a second here.
Okay.
It's so easy, especially in a town like this, in a profession that you and Jamie have chosen, with high school football, it could be so easy to get wrapped up 24/7, 365 and talk about football and things like that. What do you guys do to unwind, to get away from the game, to unplug?
He plays golf and I go ride with him. So it's still sports oriented. But no, we love to go to the beach, and we have a pool, and we love relaxing by the pool, getting in the pool. That's one of our favorite things in the afternoons to do, is just go jump in the pool and relax. We put some music on, listen to music, and enjoy the pool. We love to just go out to eat all the time. As if you've ever talked to my husband, he can tell you every restaurant there is, and he can give you, he can critique every restaurant there is. He loves going out to eat. And we love spending time with family. We go visit family all the time.
I got you. You in your football career at the high school level, Jamie has coached a lot of really, really good players that have gone on to Division I and maybe some to the NFL. Who are some players that really stick out to you? Maybe not necessarily the most famous ones, but any ones that come to mind that stick out to you that you guys have had a tremendous effect on?
Well, I'm gonna name one right now that nobody's probably ever heard of, but Justin Albert. Okay. He was a kid he was a running back, and he won a state championship for us. He was a tremendous athlete at Prattville. He was very small, so a lot of colleges overlooked him. He had that chip on his shoulder. He was like maybe a Tyler Belcher, that's small but very, very good football player, and probably deserves a chance at the next level, but didn't necessarily get it. Well, Justin played for Troy, but when he was at Prattville, I taught him, and my husband coached him. He was one of those players that knew he was good, and I watched him, and he was a pain sometimes, and we had to take care of him. We had to discipline him a lot, and through the years, I watched him at Troy, and we kept up with him all the time, and he would call Jamie every once in a while and talk to him. We had coaches calling us, and Jamie would have to defend them, and he'd have to call Justin in and talk to him and things like that. Now, fast forward a few years, and we go to Central in Phoenix City. Justin calls Jamie and says, I'm, pounding roofs on houses. I would really love an opportunity to come coach. And so Jamie gives him a shot. And he could tell you then, if anybody had ever told him Justin Albert was going to be coaching for him, he would have said, no way, a long time ago. He comes in, and I have watched that. I call him a little boy. I watched that little boy grow into a man. He has got 2 kids now, a wife, and to watch him be a dad and to watch him coach kids, and, just to see somebody grow like that, through football. Basically it's through football. He has matured and grown up. And those are the kind of stories that I like. You can talk about the ones that have gone on to the NFL and made something of their lives, but somebody like that you've actually just watched grow into a man, is that does my heart good. And I mean, he's still coaching in Phoenix City right now. He's coaching at Russell County, and I mean, he's just become this tremendous man that is a great dad, great coach, great father, great husband.
What a great story that was. I had a chance last December to guest host a radio program, morning radio program, The Morning Drive, there at Black Crow Media. And one of those days, I guest hosted 3 days. And one of those days, Jamie came in to do a Lowndes update, and we're live on the air. And his phone goes off. He's texting someone back and forth. And during the commercial break, I asked him, Coach, do you need to get that? What's that all about? And he was telling me a story that it's one of his former players now at Alabama, playing for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I can't remember his name exactly, but he was
Cohen.
There you go. And he was going out of his way thanking Jamie for the help that he gave him when he was in high school. And I think it's in Phoenix City. And Jamie went on to tell me the rest of the story about how he and some his assistants found out the living conditions. This kid, he didn't have a bed. Right. He was sleeping on the couch every night of the week. He didn't have a bed. His family didn't have very much. And then Jamie went out and basically helped him find a bed, that kind of stuff. It's those types of stories that I love to hear, because, as rabid fans like we are, especially in a town like this, all we focus most of the times are the wins and losses. And we forget so many times at the high school level what coaches are actually there for.
Yes, it is 24/7. And that's what I mean when I say, we pray about everything, and it is a calling. I mean, because yes, you want to win games, and you want to have all the wins, and you want everybody to be happy for you, but it's not always about the wins and losses. It's about changing these young men's lives. And, through the years, there's been a whole lot of young lives changed, just like that. Like
absolutely.
Who you just talked about.
Yeah. Speaking of wins and losses, obviously that's important, because that's what everyone measures a coach by. Fortunately, y'all have had a lot of success in Jamie's football career. 3 state championships in Alabama, hopefully a 4th state championship here at Lowndes in the near future. But what happens after a loss? I mean, I'm sure you guys support each other, things like that. How do y'all handle that?
After a loss?
After especially a big loss.
Oh, I just leave him alone.
I understand.
No, he needs to be left alone afterwards, because he takes it pretty hard. Luckily we haven't had to have too many of them. Yeah. But he takes it pretty hard. I always dread coming home, but we have to get through it and go on and play the next game. So
that's exactly right. Well, back to the kids. Got a couple more questions for you. Back to the kids. Last year, even in the midst of COVID, you guys started something with the help of Chase Belcher and some other receivers, Boys to Vikings program, something like that.
Yes.
How did you feel about programs like that, where athletes help little kids, things like that? Is that something y'all have always done, or is that something new that you've helped implement, or
no,
how does that work?
We've always done it. Usually Jamie will get and I think he's actually talked about doing it here too. We always did a football camp, and all the football players would come out, and usually the senior football players would come out and host a free camp for all the kids to come, and they would go through drills with them and things like that. Because I don't think, people don't understand, just like we look up to NFL stars, the high school kids look up to NFL stars and they want to be like them. These little kids, they're 6th, 7th grade. I mean, Lowndes football players, or the high school football players, are their heroes.
Right.
And they would love to be out there on the field with them. And so I think it makes a big difference. You never know who's watching you. And we tell the kids, the players, that all the time. They're always watching you. Everything you do, you don't ever know when somebody's watching you, and you need to make a difference and make their lives better and let them see you doing good things.
Gotcha. Last question. Sometimes when I hear Jamie on the radio giving an interview to local media, could be anybody, really, and I've heard him often say that when he makes a bad call or a bad play or something like that, and he gets home, one of the first people that he hears from is he'll say, one of the first people I hear from is my wife. She'll ask me, why did you make that call? Is that true?
Yes, it is. It is. I tell him when he makes good calls too. I do. I'll tell him that was a great call right there. But yeah, sometimes it gets frustrating. Sometimes I've actually stared him down, but he won't look at me on the sideline because he knows I'm staring him down. I've actually walked up behind him one time, and we were, time was I think there was like 1 or 2 minutes left to go in the game, and here he is throwing the ball, and I just walked up to him. I said, "Run the ball."
That's funny right there. That's funny.
But yes. Unfortunately, I have to bring him back down to earth every once in a while.
I got you. Listen, he's probably not watching. Maybe he'll watch this episode. Maybe he won't. But just between us, do we have a state championship team in us this year?
I hope so.
That's a great answer.
We are young this year. I will say that we lost a lot, but we have some great players, and they have they've really performed well in the last 2 7-on-7s that we've gone to. They've impressed me. The difference is in this year's team and last year's team is we just have a lot of young players.
I got you.
Inexperienced, I should say. Not as experienced as last year's team, but they are all still good and working hard. So hopefully, we'll put it all together and win a state championship.
I got you. Listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Viking Nation Around the Nation episode. I hope you come back and do it again. One of the things that I want to do is, kind of introduce our fans to not just the head coach or the offensive and defense coordinators, but basically everybody that touches the football and the athletics program, and what a tremendous role you all play in that, helping us be successful, not just on the field, but in the classroom as well. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for what you do for Lowndes High School.
Yes, ma'am. Listen, Viking Nation, that's Tracey DuBose, and we want to thank her and wish the DuBoses the very best in this upcoming season. And Tracey, have a good night.
Thank you. Go Vikings.
Yes, ma'am. Man, was that a fun interview or what, Billy?
Yeah, great interview. I mean, her interview is exactly what I get from her every time I've been in contact with her. That's how she is every time, all the time. And like I said, I think she'd be a fan whether she was with Jamie and here or not. I mean, she's a football fan. So
yeah, and based on some of these comments, a lot of these comments from our fans, they feel the same way. Drake Roberts. She's a great lady. She gets into the game going up and down that sideline.
Gunn would definitely know.
Exactly right.
He's on the sidelines with her quite a bit. So, yeah.
Abby Pearson, such an awesome lady. Lowndes County is blessed to have Tracey DuBose. Let's see, Wayne Mooney. Behind every man's a great woman. Yeah, man. We all agree.
Maybe Jamie is actually behind her. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is. Exactly right. Brian Bailey says, great interview. Brian, thank you so much, man. It means a lot. And trust me, it wasn't me. It was all the personality of Tracey DuBose. Billy, that is one of the cool things that we get to do on this program, is to interview these folks that the general public doesn't necessarily get to do on a day in and day out basis. They know about these folks, but they don't know a lot of the details or their background story. So anyway, it's fun to do these types of interviews. And I hope after the season, maybe during the season, Coach DuBose and maybe Tracey will come back onto the show. It's been fun. It really has been fun. That was a fun interview. Let's see. Luke Bush says, we are so happy and proud of our first lady. Absolutely, Luke Bush. We got you back.
Yeah. I don't know. Something happens. It glitches every once in a while. It just shuts me off. Does that about every show.
Sometimes that happens, man. Sometimes that happens. I'm not exactly sure why. It's modern technology.
With some more sponsors, we might get a producer that would work this whole thing.
Oh, my gosh. We get a few more sponsors? Yeah, I wouldn't mind hiring a producer. That's for sure. Yeah. As far as technology goes.
Or a tutor for me to work.
Absolutely. You know, we were kind of kidding about sponsors and producers, but we're starting to stack the sponsorships on top of each other. Hopefully by this time next week, we'll introduce a couple more sponsors. And as the sponsors roll in, that means that we've got the funds to introduce more things to the show. And I can't wait till you guys see what I have in store for you as we get more producers on.
Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to make money. Larry's not making money off this deal. He's invested a lot of his own time and money that he's in the hole, and you know, he just wanted to, you know, do a good show for everybody. And I appreciate what you do, Larry.
Yeah.
You know, you're my buddy and all, but I do appreciate it, you know, because we wouldn't have a platform like this if it wasn't for people like you that put your own time and your own energy. I mean, you could be doing so many other things.
Well, man, I appreciate you saying that, but I want to make sure that we also thank everybody that touches the Viking Nation, right? Not just this program and our organization, but all the volunteers throughout Lowndes Athletics, all the Booster Club members. James Darling does a fantastic job with the Touchdown Club. He's president of the Touchdown Club this year. Owen Prince does a fantastic job organizing the athletic ticket office. Michael Broadwater spends
everything.
Countless hours with the football program and the band. You know, the band boosters organization, Chris Bisher appears normally every week alongside us. There's so many people that touch Lowndes Athletics that don't get paid. We're all happy to volunteer because this is a great program, a great community, and we're just trying to live that one Lowndes motto that we keep saying over and over again.
And it's not about just football. It's not about just
That's right.
band. It's, you know, it enhances the whole school environment for our kids.
That's right.
You know, everybody's like, oh, y'all put so much emphasis on sports or doing well or whatever. But a kid is going to do better in school if he's happy where he goes, if he's got pride in it. And I'm a firm believer that the better facilities, the better support, the better kids you're going to have, because we have some great kids that are going on, that's moved on, that graduated this past year, that are going to places like Georgia Tech and Howard University. And,
exactly.
And making a difference in our world that some of the smaller schools and schools that don't have the backing that Lowndes has, the community behind it, that may not have those opportunities. It's not always about money, but about knowing what's out there. You know, if you don't know what opportunities are out there, sometimes you'll miss out on them, man.
Yep.
And because of all the networks and all that we build at Lowndes, and it spreads out and it allows kids to see what's out there for them and let them spread their wings. So I just appreciate everything everybody does for Lowndes Athletics, the band, and like you said, you know, you mentioned Chris Bisher, you mentioned Broadwater, James Darling, all those guys. They're not doing this for publicity. They're not doing it for pain. They're doing it for the kids, because if you don't think Michael Broadwater don't love these kids, you are crazy.
Yeah.
That man loves them. I mean, he cuts my grass just so at my tailgate spot, just so it looks pretty on game day. I mean, that's a good guy.
Yeah. Listen, we've got people that move away. Guys like Luke Bush living in Columbus now, running an insurance agency. But every Friday night, he drives back to Lowndes and Martin Stadium to support our program. He's a big part of our Touchdown
He's there
Club
early on Friday afternoons. He's there.
Absolutely.
He gets there at the same time I do, and I don't work past lunch on Friday, and he's coming all the way in from Columbus to set up every Friday night. So, you know, that's crazy. So, you know, yeah, we've got fans.
That's right. Speaking of insurance agencies, Luke Bush, if you're out there, man, we're looking for an insurance agency sponsor. I'm just saying, Billy Pierce. So listen, I want to throw something at you. I made a post on the Viking Nation earlier this week, and it got a lot of people's attention. I started getting phone calls.
I laughed. I giggled. I was laying in the hospital, and I was like, oh, my goodness, Larry, that's funny.
And the headline of my post was, Wintersville Classic tickets on sale now. And here we are months before the Wintersville Classic, right? And so I started getting, hey, are they really selling Wintersville tickets? And my answer is yes, but there's a catch. It's in the form of season tickets. And I said it that way to get people's attention so I can explain the details. It's like, guys, the Wintersville Classic is at Martin Stadium this year. That means if you are a season ticket holder, you automatically have a ticket for that game. Makes sense, right?
True.
So, guys, instead of waiting for that week, waiting in line, stressing out whether you're going to get a ticket or not, go ahead and become a season ticket holder this year and get a ticket for that game early. It's already in your packet. Just makes sense to me.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I got a lot of pretty big circle of friends, a lot of people I love, a lot of people that are from out of town that maybe only get to see one game a year.
Right.
I mean, I get that, but Wintersville time every year, my phone blows up because I do have a lot of season tickets, and I'm a Touchdown Club member, and so I do get a couple of extra with that on the years that we go to Valdosta.
Yeah.
With that, I do get a lot of calls wanting tickets for that game. And hey, guys, season tickets aren't that expensive. I mean, that's a 1 meal out.
That's,
that's
exactly right.
Jamie and Tracey eat out all the time. That's 1 meal. So, go ahead and buy your season tickets. Go ahead. And just for that game, it's worth the season tickets.
Absolutely. And so this broke a little bit earlier today. I don't know this fella, a guy named Curtis Reed. I think he's a staff sergeant he's an Army recruiter, and he posted this on his Facebook page. And check this out, Billy. So apparently we are going to have the U.S. Army Golden Knight parachute team parachute into Martin Stadium at the start of the Wintersville Classic game. How much more exciting can you get? That is awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
So, guys, if you don't have your season tickets yet, don't wait until the week of the Wintersville Classic to stress out about, because trust me, you're going to want to be at the game this year. Go ahead and ensure you have a ticket by getting season tickets.
And I don't like telling people no that I don't have extra tickets. I really don't.
Exactly right. Listen, I want to go ahead and address something. We've got a couple of people that are entering for that Winn-Dixie Stuff the Bucket drawing at the end of the show. Guys, I want to make sure you're entering this in right. Some of you have one Lowndes, but you've got a space in there. You've got #1 space Lowndes. No, take out the spaces, just like you see on the screen. #1 Lowndes, all one word, no spaces in between any of the letters. So please do that. But if you don't, then that means when I launch the software at the end of the show, it basically ignores your entry. The only way it picks up, the only way the software is smart enough to pick up that entry is if you enter it incorrectly. Okay. Doesn't matter if it's capital letters or lowercase letters. We just can't have any spaces in there. So #1 Lowndes. I hope that makes sense, guys. So, Billy, you've heard me use this name before, I think. Guy named Joe Mamone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
He's with
I met him in a telephone interview once. Yeah, he's with the streaming.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. He's with he owns a company called Prep Gridiron Logistics.
Yes,
and so one of his passions is high school football.
Yes, he streams a lot of the big time games.
Yeah. So up until this year, what he does is he sets up big time games between like top 25 teams across the country, right? Like a Mater Day against De La Salle, or Bishop Gorman against Servite, or
IMGs and those
IMGs against St. Francis Academy, things like that. Well, Lowndes has hit Joe Mamone's radar. And so he says that he can't wait to visit Lowndes. And there's a reason for that. Because he made a statement, and it's been confirmed. I heard Coach DuBose talk about this in previous interviews. Talk about this Georgia-Florida high school football challenge starting next year.
Yes, I've heard rumors about that starting next year, maybe two teams from Georgia, 2 teams from Florida meet up, play one another.
Yeah, so those 2 teams in Georgia can't announce the Florida teams yet because those haven't been confirmed, right? But the two Georgia teams are Lowndes and Colquitt County.
That's
So
kind of what I expected. I was kind of leaning toward Lee because I think Joe actually does some stuff with Lee County as well.
that's right. So later on this year, when we go over to Leesburg to play Lee County, Joe, part of Joe's company, he's partnered with a national streaming provider, athletic streaming provider called Flow Sports. And so his company is going to be streaming the Lee County Lowndes game.
Okay, that's where the connection with Lee County is. Okay,
that's exactly right. And so he's helping to facilitate this Georgia Florida challenge,
which is pretty neat for a company based out of New Jersey to.
Listen to this, man. I just got this text from Tracey DuBose.
Oh, Lord.
He said, "Congratulations, my wife has interviewed with Larry Godwin and ESPN, turned down many." That's funny right there. Well, Coach, Tracey was a fantastic person to interview. She made my job so much easier. So we appreciate both Jamie and Tracey DuBose. But Joe is trying to facilitate this, or not trying to, but he is helping to facilitate this Georgia Florida challenge. So next year, that game is going to be at Martin Stadium. It's going to be 2 games back to back. And then the year after that, in 23, we will go over to Moultrie and play at Colquitt's Stadium. And we'll basically take on different teams, but it'll be a Lowndes Colquitt versus Florida type of deal for the next 2 years. Who would have thought this several years ago, Billy Pearson? Now we're partnering with Colquitt County.
Well, it hurts my heart a little bit, but you kind of see it progressing that way with the national spotlight on high school football players. It's just inevitable that we're eventually going to get where you're going to have a true national championship.
That's right.
You're going to have teams that are going to play in events like Valdosta played several years ago that was played in Dallas.
Right.
You're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing, teams go across the country. I mean, Valdosta started it back during the 80s, playing teams from Pennsylvania and stuff like this. And it's just grown. It's grown that now a guy sitting in South Georgia, gets on his laptop and watches a team, from South Florida play and recognizes the players, the Under Armour game, that Tracey was talking about, these big things. So it just puts a national spotlight on some of these kids, and it's great. Right.
That's
and
exactly
our program, right. our program's only going to grow because of it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Guys, we are winding down. We're getting into the short rows, approaching the 8 o'clock hour. So we're going to end it pretty soon. So this is your last chance to go ahead and enter your chance to win that Winn-Dixie Stuff the Bucket meal. So I want to thank, especially every single week, this giveaway. I want to thank Clint Haynes and the folks there at Winn-Dixie. They're a great sponsor of Lowndes football, right? And more than just this show, they go above and beyond. Their Crimson level touchdown club members. They donate above and beyond that to the football program. So, man, oh man, this is a great sponsor. So, guys, Viking Nation, let's support Winn-Dixie because they put so many man hours and money into our Lowndes football program. So we want to make sure that we support the folks that support our program. So, guys, with that said, Billy, it's going to be a hot weekend. So everybody, be careful out there. I think I saw a post from EMA Lowndes' emergency agency. They're issuing a heat advisory for Friday and Saturday, 111 and 114 degrees heat index for Friday and Saturday, respectively. Man, oh man, it's going to be hot. Guys, if you're going to be outdoors, make sure you do it early in the morning. But if you're going to have to be outdoors later in the day, make sure you drink plenty of water, take plenty of breaks, stay in the shade as much as you can. Get those air conditioning units cranked up and serviced because it's going to be a hot weekend. So we wish everybody the best.
Just go find the water somewhere. Sit in a pool. I like Tracey's idea, just going and sitting in the pool. Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and do this giveaway. Let me go ahead and share this screen here. Let's see. Billy, have you won this thing yet?
I have not won it.
Man, I hope you win it, man.
I do too. I like chicken and ribs.
Well, now I hope you don't win it, because if you win it tonight, people are going to think it's rigged.
It's rigged. I promise you, it's not rigged.
That's right. So here we go. Let's do this drawing. Oh, let's see. Draw.
Michael Broadwater hasn't won it, so it's not rigged.
That's right.
He's won like 18 golf carts and a jet plane.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So who's going to win this thing? Jerry Safford. Congratulations, Jerry. Jerry, you know the deal by now, man. So as soon as we're done, I will send you a message directly through Facebook Messenger, letting you know what the instructions are to go up there to Winn-Dixie to claim your prize, man. Congratulations, Jerry. Thank you so much for watching this program tonight. Guys, with that said, thank you, everybody, from the bottom of our hearts, to the entire Viking Nation clan, right? On behalf of Billy Pearson, I'm Larry Godwin, your tour guide for the week. We wish you guys the very best. Have a great weekend. We are 1 week closer to football next Saturday night. So with that said, you guys have a great night and a great weekend. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
Man, did I just really mess that? Here's our outro. Good night, everybody.